Hi, welcome back to the second hour of this Wednesday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. You are aboard the USS Focal Point, our patrol boat. This is not a cruise ship. It's a working boat in which we patrol the choppy waters of America's public life, looking ceaselessly, relentlessly for the intersection of truth and politics. Our commander is on the bridge. The scriptures are nautical charts. The Holy Spirit, our navigator, and I serve as your loyal, humble, and cheerful first mate. So welcome back to the second hour. Some good news, by the way, at least for those of us that have trouble with the mainstream media. New York Times is continuing to slump. They're offering buyout packages to 30 newsroom employees and saying, hey, either you take the buyout package or you're going to get laid off. They just recently laid off 60% of their staff on the business side of the paper. They cut 100 newsroom staffers in 2008. So once again, mainstream media, people deserting them in droves. Now, it's not just because of their content, but I think people are saying, look, I'm tired of all this bilge I'm getting fed by people like the New York Times. I want voices I can listen to. I want voices I can trust. And I'm not finding it in the mainstream media. I'm finding it in alternative media like talk radio, like Focal Point and AFR Talk. Well, let's grab a couple of phone calls to start this second hour. Let's go to Alan in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Alan, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, thank you for accepting my call.
Yes, sir.
Really, I really appreciate your program. Normally you start off with the word, but this time you kind of started off with a little jab towards Obama, and I think that was more political. If you stay with the word, then go into the politics, man. That's better foundation, but you kind of started politics before you even went into the word today. But my point today was about the way the elections have come. I mean, Obama won. Really, the Republicans thought that Romney was going to be the next president. He didn't win, so elections have consequences.
Well, okay, now, Alan, I agree with you completely about that. I agree with you 100%. President Obama won the election. I agree with you that elections have consequences. Are you aware that John Boehner was elected with 99.9% of the vote in his congressional district? Are you aware that the voters chose to leave the House of Representatives in the hands of a decisive Republican majority? So do you accept that reality? Yeah, Obama won, but so did the House Republicans.
But watch Boehner cave, though, because he knows Obama won the presidency. And he's not going to be an obstructionist. He's going to, look tough for the Republicans, but the Republicans are already neutered. Crown Adams, he had that right. The Republicans are really, they're null and void, really.
But they do have the legislative power to stop anything that Barack Obama does, because every appropriations bill has to start in the House of Representatives, and every piece of legislation has to pass the House of Representatives. And the fact that the American people left majority of Republicans in control of the House of Representatives, Alan, elections have consequences, and the Republicans are in charge of the House. They have every right to use the constitutional tools at their disposal to pursue legislation that they think is in the best interest of the country. Do they not?
They do. But I'm telling you, Boehner already knows he's going to fold to the president. I'm telling you, it's already set.
Yeah, but that's his. But I would say, Alan, Alan, that's Boehner's choice. What about the rest of the Republicans that don't want to fold like a cheap tent? Are you saying that they should follow Boehner off the cliff?
That's why Obama's going to be in Hawaii the time we're supposed to fall off the cliff. They're not worried about this. He's on a vacation with his family. Trust me, they got it covered.
Well, I understand that, but doesn't that bother you a little bit that he's saying we got this crisis here, it's got to be resolved, we're running out of time, the clock is ticking, and instead of being around to sort of meet with these leaders and try to come to some kind of a bipartisan solution, which he says he's all about, he's off on a $4 million vacation.
He's the president. He won.
Well, Boehner is the Speaker of the House, and he won.
But I'm telling you, when it comes down to the House Speaker, he's going to cave to the president because the president has the true power. Yeah. The House Speaker is like just a figurehead.
Well, and you might be right. In fact, let's, and I appreciate the call, Alan. Thank you for that. Let's drop down to clip 11 if we can, Rob. This is radio talk show host Mark Levin, and he got pretty agitated. I mean, you talk about text messages. If his wife sends Mark Levin text messages like Debbie sends them to me, I mean, his inbox would have been loaded last night. I listened to a little bit of it on the way home. But here is Mark Levin going off on Boehner for this night of the long knives, this purge of genuine conservatives. Let's listen.
He's so desperate for these 4 votes that he punishes these men like this. Pelosi does this stuff. The old Soviet Union, they did this stuff. This man, Boehner, his ego's massive. His ego's way out of control. He views his role, ladies and gentlemen, to crush the Tea Party, to crush conservatives. He is selling out our children right now with these massive tax increases, and that's his starting bid. He's saying, here's $800 billion. Now, will you sit down with us, Obama? He's prepared to go to $1.2 trillion. I'm telling you he is. They buy into this class warfare. You want to know why? Because he's not smart enough to argue against it. And moreover, he's unprincipled.
Now, one of the reasons I play clips like that is I just want Debbie to know what I could sound like. So there's plenty of room. I got some headroom there before I get to the level of intensity of Mark Levin. But, you know, he's exactly right. And our last caller, you know, Alan, I think he was dead right about that. Boehner's already decided he's going to cave. He's getting pushed off the cliff by Karl Rove, who's going to hold hands with him, and they're going to jump together. They're in the front seat of the Thelma and Louise mobile with their foot on the accelerator. They're going to drive this thing full speed right into the canyon, full speed ahead. Now, let's grab the audio bite, Jeff, the one we've got from Detroit. Have you got that one handy? I want to play this because remember one of the things we said, and this is where Mitt Romney was exactly right. There's a whole batch of people he's never going to be able to get because they're getting goodies from Barack Obama. They're getting gifts from Barack Obama. Now, here's an example. Here's a councilwoman for the city of Detroit. Democrats have managed this city into utter, absolute oblivion and bankruptcy, but she says, we've got a solution. Somebody's out there, Santa Claus, to bail us out. Let's listen.
After the election of Jimmy Carter, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, he went to Washington, D.C. He came back home with some bacon. Right. That's what you do. That's what you do. This is our people, in an overwhelming way, supported the re-election of this president. And there ought to be a quid pro quo, and you ought to exercise leadership on that. Of course, not just that, but why not?
Okay, it's a councilwoman, city of Detroit, saying, Barack, you owe us, buddy. We voted for you in overwhelming numbers. Now it's your turn to bail us out. You got the homeowners that were hit by Sandy. They want the federal government to build them a seawall. And I'm thinking, you know, the people that choose not to build down there, why should they be forced to pay for a seawall for the people that did choose to build down there? If they're going to build next to the sea, building a seawall, that ought to be their responsibility, not ours. Back in 2.